All right, everybody. I've got another very special guest for y'all. Everybody, please welcome to the show, Lewis Southard. Welcome, Lewis.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Chris. I was really jazzed to get the offer to pop up on the show, so I had to jump and take it. So here I am.
I saw the new project and it looked really cool. And as I started researching you more, not only did you make me feel old by seeing when you were born, but I also you were doing so many cool stuff that, like I told you ahead of time, some I'd heard of, some is new to me, but all looks really interesting. So I'll be cool to kind of dive deeper into some of that and then talk about the new project. But before we do, you're new to the show. Hopefully, it
Yeah.
won't be your last time, but it is your first time, and we gotta get that origin story out of you. So, just kind of your life in comics. Like, how'd you come about it? Were you always a comics fan? Those kinds of things.
Okay, I gotcha. Well, it's for everyone, yeah, I am new to the program, so hello, I'm Lewis Southard. I'm a comic book writer. Been working for close to a decade in the comics industry. So I love it. The only kind of big names I've worked on so far are Flash Gordon, Exo Man of War, and hopefully some other stuff in the future, but mostly creator owned. But how did I get into this? Like any good story, it begins in Paris, France. I was selected to go to partake in a global campus abroad program when I was applying for university, and I literally checked the wrong box on the application. So they said you can only go to this school if you go to France. And I also made the very dumb choice of only applying to one school when I was in high school. So I got in. They said you have to go there, and I'm like, well, I don't have any other choice. Time to go. And to some, Paris, France is a lovely place, and it certainly is pretty. The food's good, but I hated every second of being there. I hated every second of being in that school, and I dropped out after 20 days, I think, and I did that very strategically so I could get my tuition money back as well. And then I was like, well, okay, what to do? I got on a plane back to the States and was like, I'm gonna do something a bit bold, and I'm gonna get another job, but I'm also gonna try to follow my dreams of becoming a comic book writer. You asked earlier if I always like comics. I've always been a comics fan since I guess I was like reading proper comics. 12. I got into reading proper floppies with the Superior Spider-Man when that was a brand new thing. So yeah, that's how I got into it. And skip a few years, then it was just 3 years of work and 3 years of learning of how to like make comics and evolving over time.
It's so funny because I remember that book coming out, and Mike and I, the normal co-host of the show, the guy who started the show with me, were just becoming friends at the comic shop. Just met, and then we started talking about podcasting and everything. So as I'm an adult trying to figure this out, you're a 12-year-old trying
I'm a 12-year-old getting into comics for the first time.
It's amazing, man. Yeah, as somebody that's never been to Europe, it's nice to hear somebody hated it, because all I ever hear is how great it is. So
You
that was
know,
nice.
Paris actually has a complete syndrome. It's called Paris syndrome about how disappointing it is. Like there's a whole Wikipedia about it, about like the tourism in that place is no good. But other places in Europe are lovely. I just this past summer I went to Amsterdam for a work trip, which sounds like the biggest lie in the universe, but it's true. I went to Amsterdam to go to the Utrecht Comic Con to do two meetings there because I was doing a summer job in England, and I have family in England, so I was doing a forestry job, basically like I got to do a lumberjack summer of chopping trees down and digging holes. And now that the summer's over, it's time to go back into the world of comics. And here I am, right back on the hustle and grind with the brand new Kickstarter. So I'm right on schedule.
I think the only place in Europe I have had interest to go is Germany, and I think it's because my family is from Germany. My sister lived over there for like 5 years when her husband, I believe they were married at the time, was stationed over there. Outside of that, like I'm such a I'm such a fucking American that I'm just like, oh, I'm good here.
No, that's very fair. That's I yeah, no, I've been all over well, my father was a trucker, and he had a very nasty habit of I call it a nasty habit of just dragging me everywhere when I was a kid. So I've got to see the most, people don't often realize this if you kind of stick in one area, but just like how diverse the nature is in this country alone. And that's like the probably one of the biggest global anomalies. Like you can go, to the northeast and it's nothing but, trees and snow, and then you go into the desert out west, and then you're back into trees again, and just like what do they call it? Tectonic plates crashing into each other nonstop, like or what I went on a road trip through the Midwest, and that was scary just because of how flat it is,
Yeah.
and I was just zoned out on the highway, and it's just like with how flat you just kind of feel like you're dissociating, and it's just like I'm driving the car, and if I keep telling myself that I'm driving the car, I will continue driving the car. So
I know as a New Yorker and someone who spends a lot of time in New York, Pennsylvania is like my region, and we're so hilly and
yeah,
woodsy that when you go to those spots in the States, it's just like, well, where, like, there's a hill on my house is on a hill, and do you have a hill? And
where are
living
your
in a
knolls?
lake town too, when you go down to Florida, and they're like, oh, look at all the lakes, and I'm like, dude, that's a pond.
And this is the first episode of our brand new geography podcast. I'm so
Yes.
glad you're all here listening, because this is a soft launch that we've been talking about this for probably 2 years now about starting this. So I'm really glad. I'm really glad that we're doing it.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk a little bit about comics, because you have done some really cool stuff. And actually, I think the first time I saw your work and your name was the Zoop campaign for Comics Are Dying.
Yes.
Um, I first I'd love to just have a brief, like, where'd this project come from? Because it's such a cool idea.
Well, that came out of a blind rage, to be honest. It was the end of 2023, and there was a comics creator who I shall not name that was kicking up a storm online about, like, once in a while you always get like a nice little comics are dying uh, campaign online, right? It ends up trending, or people talking about like the state of that, and it's often a pattern. These people have always been saying this, and like watching this guy talk and being like, I have all the answers, but you won't know. Like I'm not gonna tell you, or in theory, this is what we could do, and it's all just a lot of talk is talk, right? And I really got fed up because it's just like, well, you're not really helping anyone. You're just kind of drumming up attention for yourself. So I was just like, well, I had an idea for a project where every page would be done by a different artist, but like it was all centered around one theme. And that kind of like moment was the catalyst of like, oh, comics history. Like that's the thing, because it's like we've always been saying comics are dying since, well, like the 50s. So it's like, yeah, let's go into that and just like explore the different genres, the different like mediums of comics, going from like funny animal to superhero to underground, and even newspaper strips and web comics, because then it was like a really wonderful way to experiment with form, experiment with styles, and really having a beautiful opportunity to work with over 100 artists on one project, which was the other part of it. If like I was in a fortunate enough position at that moment in time to be like, let's try to give people jobs, and that was like probably one of the most proud moments of my career thus far, of being able to like work and manage and pay over 100 people and make something really spectacular. I mean, it probably wasn't great for my health because, as you can imagine, managing 100 people in the span of, it was a span of like 2.5 months. A lot of sleepless nights, a lot of, me writing and then managing and then kind of like coordinating everything. But I used every trick I could find to make it work. Didn't help my last relationship. She did not care for that project at all. I might as well have had an affair during that time, but no. But that was a thrill. That was really a thrill of a project.
Yeah, as a consumer, that feels like, oh, that's such a cool idea. I love it and everything. As somebody that's been behind the scenes on a few of these things and like talked to many creators like yourself, that sounds terrible. Just like 100. Hey, how do you find 100 different artists to work with?
Well, that was the easy part. I'm not gonna lie, because I basically started. I reached out to everyone I had worked with in the past already, or people I had befriended in the con circuit. And if you could imagine, that actually brought me to 50, almost exactly. And then I was like, where the flip do I find the other 50 now? So, using my PR skills, I then turned the first 50 into a press announcement where we're announcing half the team. But then the other part of the press announcement was, and if you would like to join our team and round out the other 50, then send a message my way. And I was so blessed because the articles that came out were circulated at the Joe Kubert School in New Jersey and the Savannah College of Art and Design down in Georgia. So I managed to work with a lot of up and coming artists as well as a lot of their staff to like do that, and the extra publicity also managed to get some industry professionals. So I got to work with a very diverse array of people, from some big names to some people it's their first ever gig. And it's been really cool though to see some of the people that this is their first project or their second or third, and seeing where they're going or where they've gone. I know a really talented guy named Tyler Lanaz. He's a friend now. He did a double page splash in Comics Are Dying. I think it was his first published work. And then just I think this year he got selected to go do the Marvel Arts Atelier program back in France, with a full circle moment. So so it's really cool to kind of see, but then he did an art show, I think just this month, and it was kind of cool because one of the pieces he had on display was one of the pages from comics, the page he did for Comics Are Dying, and it's just this kind of fun thing to see that it's not just my project, it's everyone's project, and it's part of their journeys too. And some people it's a gig, and then other people it not that it meant something, but it was it's part of their track or journey, I guess. So it's really cool. It's just neat to see that.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear. I mean, so my mind, and nobody wants to know the answer to this, so don't answer it. But my mind immediately goes to man, the payroll on that, and the giving out comps for that, and just the nightmare and the logistics behind that seems crazy. But it looks like you pulled it all together. And then when you're shopping this thing around, you feels like you have something you're really proud of. You pulled something off that is near impossibility in some ways. Did you have was the first thought I need to crowdfund this, or did you try to shop it around to any publishers to see if they were interested?
This seems to be a good track record with anything I try to crowdfund, because Laugh Riot is another one of similar origin. Of I've had a very interesting relationship with the direct market, and I think the direct market is a very valuable and a very worthwhile experience for all comics professionals to dive into and embark in, and we should always try to pitch and get our books out. It's everyone's dream to get your books in stores, obviously, either our local comic shops or larger chains. But it is a very difficult process, right, to pitch your book and to especially get it at a publisher. I feel like a lot of places to pitch, a lot of opportunities. I was just talking about this with somebody yesterday. Like, I kind of picked the most perfect time to try to get into comics, because a lot of the publishers that I broke in with don't exist anymore. And now for any young bucks or aspiring creators of any age, it's like, where do you pitch to nowadays if you have no credits to your name? And I would say Mad Cave Studio seems to be the only place that takes submissions from anyone. But they're a fantastic publisher, but there does seem to be a more reliance on bigger names now that they are also growing larger as a company. So it's like, where do the other people go? And I'm gonna tie this all around. Don't worry. But like this,
I believe in you.
I was like, Comics Are Dying is great. Like, this is a wonderful concept. This is a wonderful experiment, and I'm having the time of my life writing it, because it's like every page is a one-page comic that works as a whole, all written in different styles. It was something I was so proud of creatively. So it's like, okay, time to pitch it into the direct market. And I pitched it around, and I didn't really hear from a lot of people. And I did hear from one person, no, two people actually, who said, this is unpublishable, and here are the reasons why. And then it's like, I have a lot of get up and go. Or no, I'm very stubborn. If somebody tells me, well, no, you can't do this, or this can't be done, and it's like, well, watch me. So then that kind of like turned into like, okay, how are we going to do this? And fortunately, Dupe reached out to me, and they had seen some of the publicity online. I think around the time that I did that press release announcing the first 50 people. And that was my first ever foray into crowdfunding. And I thought it was great, because it's like, oh, cool. Like, this is a service that prints the book. They do all fulfillment for you. They help you out with promo. And at the time, I'm like, oh, I'm lazy. Like, this is the best exchange of my whole life. And they were a wonderful way to learn about crowdfunding and to kind of like experiment and get into that world. And I think that is sort of the new testing field or battleground for all aspiring creators of all sorts. Like, I think crowdfunding is it's not even the future, it's the present of comics or of indie comics. So like, it's very cool to like be able to go into this, and there is no master, there is no like person saying that this can't be done. Like, I have an idea, or we have an idea, let's just go out and make it and see who believes in us. And I think that's just really cool.
Yeah, I've been shopping around the idea of there is no one master anymore. Now you got to get a bunch of little, it's a democracy now. You got to get a bunch of little masters to give you $5 or whatever it is.
Well, that's just your audience. Like, I think it can be very difficult as a creative, right, to come up with like a pitch or an idea that you really love and that you think is great, but then you can get how many rejections, right? And we always hear the story of like, this person got 30 rejections, but then they got one yes. But then there's always that one person, sure, but then there's a billion people that then got 31 rejections. You know what I mean? Like, so I think being able to just kind of like go all in on your ideas is a very exciting, and it's just like, I think, more pure in some ways. You know, you're fully you're just betting on yourself, and you're betting on your team. So I think that's really good.
As that whole process with Zoop, you were happy with how that all turned out?
I would say so. They Eric Moss and Jordan Plosky are the guys that run that, and They were both incredibly helpful people. They were wonderful guides into crowdfunding. Uh, Jordan was especially helpful with kind of like providing PR contacts as well as just like helping promote. And Eric handled all internal stuff. He's a former, I believe he used to work at IDW, so he's fully part of the comics world. And like the print quality and the timing of like making the books, like it all was perfect. Like it was like a wonderful exchange, and you know, like the campaign doubled. Like it was a good time. It was a good time, and it managed to like. I didn't get the backer list until just this year, and it was really surprising to see some of the people within the industry that supported that book. So it was really cool to kind of it was neat to kind of like see who it connected with, and it's very unexpected to see who supported us.
A little behind the scenes because I'm curious. Do they give you access to the printing afterwards? Like, can you order more for yourself?
I no. It's just like
No.
just like when the campaign is done, it's done. So I own all the rights, and any kind of like they did print like surplus copies. So I and then they just gave them all to me. So now I am like literally the last person that you can kind of buy that book from. But so I've been going to a lot of Comic Cons with Comics Are Dying, and it's been really fun to sell that and see who's been buying it, because I've never made anything with the type of reaction it gets, where it's like, you know, little kids that want to learn how to like learn about comics history or how to get into comics. Then it's been like parents who want to like relate to their kids, so they buy it so then they can learn more about it. Or my favorite one has always been girlfriends buying it so they could relate more with their boyfriends, or like get into comics so then they could talk about it with their boyfriends. So it's like it's so fun to actually have something that connects with not just the comics audience, and trying to bring new people into comics, which has always been sort of my secret mission, so to speak, of like I don't just want to make books that comic fans buy. I want to create books that create comic book fans.
Yeah, 'cause I feel like that's one of those books that you set on your table and just draws people in. So
Well, thank you so much.
yeah, yeah. We won't go too much into this, but you did mention kind of you get into the wrong time with some of these publishers, and I can see we don't have to name names, but I can see a few on your list that you got in on the exact wrong time.
Yeah, I have had a very.
I mean, how much did that sour you? Like,
It was. I don't look back on things I love and hatred. I would say that I gained a lot of experience, a lot of wisdom, Chris, a lot of wisdom
yeah,
over the course of my career, and everything I have learned has helped me become more proficient in this business, as well as me now behaving in ways to make sure I am never no one else is ever treated the way I was treated by some of my past publishing partners.
definitely.
So that's what those things have taught me. I wish them no ill will because they don't exist anymore. So then that would be pointless. Uh,
And it seems to have worked out in the long run because I see as you go deeper into your catalog, now we're more in the present day, even though it's only a few years apart from those events. You got in with some publishers, two in particular, that I think are two of the best in the independent field in the market right now. So it seems to have ushered you into hopefully companies that aren't going to do that again. Based on what they're doing right now, I don't see it happening. But
no,
and yeah,
Mad Cave Studios was one of the most recent publishers, and they were a treat to work with. They're utterly refreshing to work with.
yes,
One of the smoothest and just simply professional experiences of my career thus far. And then another one I'm currently working at is Valiant Entertainment. I know that they have they're licensed out to Alien Books. and the lead editor there has been a very kind guy, and it's been very nice to interact with him and deal with some of the transparency there, and some of the creative, I'm going to say, leeway and opportunity that they've granted me with some of the writings, some of the upcoming writing that I've done for them. So it's really cool.
And as somebody that has never been a huge fan of theirs, it's been cool to watch them kind of rebuilding or giving a rebirth to their whole brand over the past few years, and seeing them bring on new talent and try new things with what they got. And yeah, seeing someone like you, an up and comer, get a shot is really cool of them. Like, they've got names that people know. They've got, and at least in the comics world, and hell, they had a major motion picture. Like, it's not like this is some schlub publisher that has nothing. It's been really cool, and I think Alien has been doing a cool job of trying to do something new and different with them and really bring the brand back.
No, definitely. I guess I'll shout that out because I have no idea when it's launching, but it should be like this fall or maybe early winter. But I'm part of the Exo Man of War Black, White, and Gold anthology, so it's me and a whole coterie of really talented writers and artists. Don't quote me on this, but I think I might be the first in my generation to write for Exo Man of War, which is I'm gonna put that little feather in my cap of I'm the first Gen Z person to do Exo, which is
that probably checks out.
Yeah, which is very, very. It's just cool. And the story that I wrote, like I said, they gave me a lot of leeway because I was like, I don't know if I'm ever going to write for Valiant ever again. So I'm gonna make sure that I really F around with their toy box. So I asked for a lot, and they gave me a lot in return. And one of the big selling points of this book is that it explores every version of Valiant, from the 90s to the 2010s to the modern relaunch. So with my story, if you're a longtime Valiant fan, I managed to pluck one villain out that will really be, I think, a crowd pleaser villain, and some of the other characters that pop up. It's just a good time.
Yeah, I always tell people that those anthology books, especially if it's a character or a company, speaking of like Marvel or DC that you're a fan of, those anthology books are some of the coolest ones, just because most of the time with them, you've got like one big name that sells the book, and then you've got all these other people that are just trying to get in. And you never know, those other people could be the next whoever your favorite creator is. And if they can pull it off in 4 pages, well, you know damn well they can pull it off in 12 issues. So I always encourage people to go check out, if you're a big Exo Man of War fan.
Or if you're a big Lewis fan, go for it.
Yes. But those are definitely worth checking out just for that alone. Yeah, so I guess that kind of we skipped a few things over that time, but I mean, we only have so much, and I really want to get into the new project. So you said you dipped your toes into crowdfunding with Zoop. Well, now you've dove straight into the pool with Kickstarter and their new book, Laugh Riot. So I think a great place to start is, what's kind of your pitch for Laugh Riot for the people out there?
I'm going to hit you with the log line. It's basically Looney Tunes versus 1984. This specific project is Laugh Riot #1. I would say it's a 24-page thrill ride of very kinetic action, at least this issue story, taking place, and it's a dystopian authoritarian world in the fictional country of Usonia, ruled by President Thaddeus K. Gander, and he is a ruler that is part of everything in life, and not just politics or entertainment. Like, he's part of your family and child rearing and your personal relationships, even in your most personal moments. Somehow, in some way, he's involved. Some comedic, some dark. So it's this complete situation of complete control. And on the flip side, on the other side of the coin, there's a funny little jester man named Mary Andrew, and he's a clown in this weird little world. And it's like, well, he's just silly. And then it's like, well, how do these two things meet? Well, as you can imagine, conflict ensues when they do. And the issue 1 is very much a welcome to the world. We're having to introduce you to these characters as well as introducing you to this very bizarro just society that we've constructed. And I think we pulled it off. I'm really excited for people to get into it. Like, the first 4 preview pages are available on the Kickstarter if you want a taste to see how exactly weird this world is, or maybe it's not as uncommon as you might think. But it's a lot.
I'm still waiting on the story pitch where and everybody got along and everything was just fine. I think my initial thoughts when I saw the campaign was, well, the cover is just fucking awesome, but it gave off V for Vendetta vibes. How much of that would you say what inspired you for the book, or is that way off base?
No, that you're right on the money. There's a lot of inspirations for this particular. This kind of started because, I was bored, and I was like, you know what I'm going to do? One of my favorite writers is Harlan Ellison. I'm going to go on a quest to see if I could figure out who owns the rights to all of his works now that he's passed away. And that led to a weeks-long just endeavor. And eventually I got to the point of, because I want 2 stories of his that I really love are I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. And the other one is Repent, Harlequin Said the TikTok Man. And I was like, I'd really love to do a graphic novel version of either. And eventually I did find the people that owned it, and they said, no, of course not. We're not going to let you touch our stuff. So it's like, okay, well, I guess I'm just going to have to make my own thing then. I'm going to have to George Lucas it. And it's like, I couldn't get Flash Gordon, so I'm going to have to make Star Wars. So this is very much inspired by Repent, Harlequin Said the TikTok Man, and then going from that, just anything I find really interesting dealing with. This is inherently a political book, I would say, and in some ways I would just describe it as commentary about America, not just now, but reflecting in history, because some of the inspirations are historical from 100 or 200 years ago, and then going into some comics inspiration like V for Vendetta, or even The Mask. I know Looney Tunes was also, I said that in the logline, that's also an inspiration. I find Looney Tunes to be one of the most American things ever made. I think Bugs Bunny is the greatest American rebel ever conceived in fiction. And I kind of put everything I love into one thing. And I did a lot of research just into everything and kind of making this. I know you mentioned the cover, which is made by a fantastic artist, Julianne Griep. The idea, you could see the issue 1 and then the issue 2 cover on the campaign page, but the idea for that, which required some research, is every cover is based on a historical American propaganda painting. So issue 1 is inspired by a painting of Columbia, the original human symbol of America, before Uncle Sam. And it's a painting of her stood on the world, so we use that with Mary Andrew in her place. And then the issue 2 cover is a riff on the Manifest Destiny painting from the 1850s of the angel guiding the settlers across the West. So we're doing our hard work to make sure that there is a lot of there's just a lot of shit in there, man.
So you said a naughty word in there, so we got to talk about it. When you say the book is political, describe what that means to you in terms of the story.
I would say, okay, I'm a Gen Z person, right? And I have grown up I grew up in the shadow of 9/11, right? And then growing up in school systems where it's prior to me being born, what's the closest equivalent? Duck and cover, the atom bomb's going to hit you. and then nowadays it's you know, school shooter drills and stuff, like being prepared to, like, what do you do then? Um, and then seeing like the just the ever growing division between both political parties, as well as just like politics almost seemingly being more spectacle than about policy now. I feel like it is just kind of devolved into a form of entertainment, which is somewhat sad. And then, going through the pandemic, and, like, it's been, the way I describe it, it's like, it feels like my generation, and I don't think this is generationally exclusive, but it feels like there's an abyss or a shadow kind of lurking on us, and it's just this created like a bit of an, how can I describe it, like just a dour kind of perspective. Like, we have the language for it, we've created a whole like subset of language, like doom scrolling and bed rotting and black pilling and just like all these things to basically sum up, hey, I'm depressed, or hey, I'm not happy with my opportunities or the way of the world. And I'm not immune to that. But what I can do is try my hardest to reject the things I don't like in the world, and I can do it the way I guess I've always been doing it, and that's with escapism and with art. So I would argue that this book is just me tackling my own frustrations with things I don't like, and it's just kind of creating catharsis and escapism and just trying to have fun. It's about a clown, and I think that's kind of like going back into history. I don't know if you've ever heard of jester's privilege, of just like the only one who can say anything about the king is the jester, and that is his privilege. And that was kind of like one of the motifs of this, of just like, just coming up with a character that can actually do something, and maybe not the most diplomatic of ways, but he can do anything. He could do anything, and it's just like, let's watch him go and just have a little fun with it.
And I always say on the show that my view from watching people is, you hear all the time, like, keep politics out of my blah, blah, blah. I don't think in terms of media that people are sick of politics in their media. I think they're sick of bad writing in their media. And I just think that sometimes that, not everything's good, or not everything's for you, is the better way to put that. And sometimes it's just done in a way that doesn't fit the style of writing you like. There's stuff that goes against my personal views, politics, that I think is amazing works of art, and some stuff that fits right in line. I'm like, that's not that great. It's all about how it's tackled. So when you're coming up with this idea and this world, did you ever have that in your mind that, like, some things maybe I have to take an extra pass at, or really dig in to make sure that I'm getting what I want across in a way that is also entertaining?
Well, luckily I work with an editor on whatever I write. Kev Kettner, who is overseeing this project, he was very instrumental in with issue 1 of like trying to help me balance the tone, because it is a kind of a high concept of just like an authoritarian, really controlled society, and then an impossible clown with like a cartoon logic is introduced to that, and it's like, well, what do you do with this complete clash of order and chaos? So he was very, very instrumental in helping me kind of like flesh this out. But I don't know, like, I can only say that I made this. I didn't want to make anything that I would consider preachy, or like telling someone like, this is what you should do. Like, I feel like that's wrong, and I feel like that's also lazy. Like, I just wanted to make something where I'm just having fun, and I'm just kind of venting and kind of making a book for me, like making a piece of art for me. And if other people like it, then that's cool too. But like I kind of I'm kind of being very selfish with this project, and I just wanted to, you know, just put it like, because beyond personal politics, like it does just tap into things I find personally interesting, like getting into history and getting into different concepts, like like we have this series sort of mapped out, as hopefully, if interest still is there, I am happy to say that issue 1 has completely funded, and if the people are still keen on it, we hope to continue to roughly about 8 issues, and each one sort of tackles, like, different facets of this weird society. So issue 2 is about religion. Issue 3 is about military, but not even just the military, but also like corporatization of like people's stories or people's identities, and kind of saying, like, that everyday people can be taken advantage of in favor of a brand or something like that. So like kind of just tapping into these things that I'm like, okay, I have this opinion, but I also don't just want to like say my opinion. It's just like, let's get weird with it. Let's get a little funky with it. Let's actually like tell a story. And it's just like Usonia, the name of the fictional country, is actually a real word, coined by the architect Frank Lloyd Wright, of something that he tried to. Talk about the balls on that guy, of being like, I want to make a word and I'm going to keep saying it, and if I keep saying it enough, then it's going to catch on. And like for him, it was to describe something that he considered to be like ultimately American in nature, and which is also kind of like his long-winded way of trying to describe his own architecture. Like, I've created this Usonian design. It did not catch on, but like learning about that, I'm like, oh, that's kind of, once again, to use this word, that's just a little neat little kind of tidbit in history. So it's just an excuse for me to put shit like that into a book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds to me like you have the right attitude going into it with all that, because you had a better way of putting it. But yeah, I just think that lazy writing at the end of the day is really what goes to these bad arguments online. And I think that people, when you really dive into it, most art is political in some nature, and you found one that did it best for you, and so hopefully that pans out for you, and it sounds like you're trying. The book itself, so we talked a little bit about, you have these different covers that you want to do. Are you gonna get apologize, please correct me if I butcher the name, Juliana Greep, or is he gonna do all of the covers throughout the 8 issues?
Yeah, Julianne Greep's going to do all 8, hopefully, as long as schedule permits. But no, her and I have worked on several projects dating back to Midnight Western Theater Witch Trial. She did all the covers for that. I think she's one of the best working artists available, and I try to work with her as much as possible. So yeah, that's the whole idea. We're gonna keep her on everything. But while we're talking about art, I'll shout out the rest of the team. The artist of the interiors is the fantastic Devlin Baker, who I met during Comics Are Dying. He did one of the pages there, and I would describe him as almost like a young Frank Miller, but in a more cartoony lens. I think he's really great at kinetic action and very good at drawing people, which sounds like a very simple statement, but it's actually very hard to draw a person, let alone in a unique style. It's lettered by Buddy Bedoyan, another longtime collaborator, worked with him for close to a decade now on everything. So he's come back, and I let him run wild with it, and he's created a really good product there. Edited by Kev Kettner, covers by Julianne Greep, and then 2 variants, one by popular online artist Zonab, who really came up with a really, really nice action-packed cover, and then another longtime collaborator, Lyndon Cahill. They did their own fantastic, like, action-oriented cover. So, and then the only other one is my friend and an actual real-life scientist, Liza Vanderart, drew little sticker art for the campaign. So you can get that as a nice little add-on if you choose to get the book.
Very cool. And real quick, Julianne, sorry, I read it as Julian. I watched too
No,
much Trailer Park Boys.
that's all right.
Yeah, and I just want to say real quick with her cover art, I think we obviously don't judge a book by its cover. I said this a million times, so the listeners are groaning right now, but we all do, and it is what it is. But when you've got such a great cover and a cover artist like her, yeah, take advantage of it. Sign her up for all 8. Get her right now done. That cover is so fucking dope, dude. I love it.
Well, thank you. She's the best. She is the best, and I've forced her to do so many different styles, and she can always do it. And she's so good. And people say that don't judge a book by its cover, but in the world of comics, this is an artistic medium, and the cover is definitely part of the game.
Yeah.
So there's
a reason why Alex Ross does all the Marvel covers.
Yeah.
There's a reason. I got to ask a super nerdy question about the cover, though. So I'm a big fan of corner boxes, and you did it in a way that really fits the motif of the book, but in a way I don't think I've seen before, with the banner hanging down with the number 1 on it. Was that part of her art? Was that design? Like, how did that little detail come about?
Well, she drew the Midnight Western Theater Witch Trial cover, which Scout, the publisher of it at the time, she noticed that they always put a corner box in. So now, kind of like with every cover she's made for me since, she automatically puts in the space or implements something in the design to then add the numbering or publisher info. So she kind of does that by default unless I specify otherwise. So that was all really her. But she's also very anal about lettering and layout design. So she's very much part of that. She designed the title logo as well as adding the team names on the cover. So I if somebody wants to do that, you might as well let them. So yeah, I will say the one cool thing about her title design seems like the title sort of inspired by Ralph Steadman lettering. If you're a fan of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, or I think it's Brewdog beer. No, not Brewdog beer. It's there's a Mad Dog beer that he designed the label of, but it's that type of font, which is I didn't tell her that, but that's one of those cool things of just letting. I'm a firm believer and I put it in every script. I've stolen this from Alan Moore. I've stolen a lot from Alan Moore, seemingly, but I really love always adding the note of if you have a better idea, just take it, because I can only articulate what I think is good, but in terms of composition and layout, you might have a better idea. So why would I want to create an environment that would stifle your creativity? So I very much just encourage everyone to run riot with my projects.
I say when working with an artist on something, it's I have a writer's mind as you do, and you have an artist's mind, and why would I get in the way of the artist doing what I pay them to do?
No, exactly.
Unless, there's times where you're yeah, we got to fix that a little bit, but for the most part, they know what they're doing and they do a good job at it. And you were gracious enough to get ahead of me and call out the rest of your team, because I wanted to say the interior art, and you threw it out there right away too. I got Dark Knight Returns vibes from the way it's designed, the way it's drawn. So young Frank Miller is right on board. Where did you and Devlin meet? How'd you guys come together for this project?
Well, he did Comics Dying. He did the page inspired by the Phantom. So he reached out to me to get on board for that project, and it was an immediate just yes, yeah, sure, well, let's work together. But when I started coming up with the script for this specific project, I knew I wanted it to, because it is inspired by cartoons, American 2D animation and just cartoon logic, but also dealing with serious real world stuff. I needed someone who could do both, like who can almost animate while also kind of being realistic. And I remember Devlin posted either a commission or a fan art of Typhoid Mary from the Daredevil comics. But Devlin went in his own direction of combining Typhoid Mary with Chapel Roan, like some of her costuming of what that she does for her performances. And like just seeing like this amalgam and the way he drew it, it was like that exact blend. Like sometimes you see a piece of art that you're just like, wow, this person can really go for it if they have something they're interested in. And that was the thing that kind of sold me on it. So then I finished up the script with just Devlin in mind. And what a terrible way to operate your business, though, of just but I think it also leads to better effects of just like going to someone and being like, I wrote this with you in mind, like, what do you think? But also having that sort of, I'm going to say wish beforehand, then you're kind of like subconsciously writing for that person. And even if you do not get that person, then hopefully you can get someone within that vein. But it helps you kind of like plan ahead. And thank the Lord, thank the universe, or thank the devil, or whoever's rooting for me, that Devlin said yes, because then we really got to get the ball rolling. He's currently drawing issue 2, and he's having a lot of fun with it. He sent me some of the designs of some of the new characters in that one, and like it's really cool. Not often do you get to work on someone where you're sort of on the same wavelength, but this is seemingly one of those projects of like, oh yeah, we're getting where we need to go. So it's been very good.
Yeah, and as I'm going down looking, you have some of the concept art that he did for the book too. He draws vehicles in a very different way too, that I almost get a Sean Gordon Murphy vibe from it, but I don't think that's quite right. But I love the way he does it. It reminds me of some of my favorite artists throughout comics. I think of some manga creators and comic creators who just, when they draw a vehicle, that's almost, they do something to it to make it look perfect to the world, but have its own unique vibe. And I think he does that with just these concept pages that you show. I didn't really see too much in the preview pages you released yet. I'm guessing that was also just him, like his style, what he does, or was there any kind of direction to do something with that stuff?
Chris, I didn't even tell him to draw a car. He just wanted to draw what these guys would roll around in. And I'm like, okay, this is awesome. You're like, oh, this guy's great. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I love the idea of a writer. I mean, it's easier in, big budget comics to say like, so-and-so amazing writer that's worked for DC and Marvel for 10, 20 years. I'm going to write it for this artist because when I call that artist, they'll answer. And some of the best books are done that way. And it's harder in indie comics, as you said. Like, you're kind of hoping that he's available because he's got bills to pay. But I think that's the way best collaborations come about, is when you do it that way. So I see you having that love for him and writing this for him. And then it feels like through the things you're saying and seeing that you never told him to draw a single vehicle, and he just did it. It seems like he has the same love and affection for the project. So, I mean, is that true? Has it come about where he seems very excited and is like, as soon as issue 1's done, he's like, okay, you got issue 2 done yet? And you're like, dude, I haven't made the Kickstarter yet. Like, how's that gone for you guys?
No, it's just a nice, I mean, I'm not going to like come on here and be like, and now we're best friends and now we call each other every day. Like, it's the most valuable relationship of my life. Like, no, but, in terms of like comic book collaborations and like, there's been some where this is just a job, like this is a gig, and that's like at most you're gonna get out of the other person, and that's like very fair. People people want to work and people want to pay their bills, but it is very special when you do have people that it becomes like I used this word before, but like a collaboration. Like you are not just trying to draw what I put down on the page, but you are also trying to put yourself into the project. So like I very much admire the people that like want to be involved, not just do the job. And that has sort of been like one of my learning curves. I know I mentioned this so-called wisdom earlier. This has been one of the lessons I've learned over the course of being into comics, because when I was very young, I was very desperate to find anyone who would say yes and basically take a chance on me. And that was sort of like not even considering style or like what the book should, having a vague idea of what the book should look like, but not kind of just like just rolling with it, just kind of like playing it by ear. But now like having the learn like no, like it is part of the process to just completely envision or have a vibe or just sense of what this book should look a book should look like, then like I think that leads to a much more confident pitch to people, as well as makes them feel like there are other people interested in making comics that look like your art. And I think that becomes a very welcome invitation to people, because they know they're dealing with someone that is like we're I said this before, but like we're operating on the same wavelength. So like having that with Devlin has been very just like it's been a fantastic process, and I'm very fortunate that he said yes to begin with, and now we will hopefully make this whole thing, and it's going to look exactly how I dreamed it would look.
That's awesome. I looked up at the time, and you've been so generous with your time. I didn't realize an hour went by, so it's amazing. I'm loving talking to you. I got a few more things we got to get out of the way before we close things up. Variant covers. You got a few variant covers. I mean, just talk a little bit about those. Let people know what's going on with them.
Well, the first one is by an incredibly popular artist, Zoanab, and I've been desperate to work with him for the longest time, and I managed to convince him to do a cover for me with this, and it's just a nice little action piece. So I was just very thrilled to get him on board for this project, and he's been so kind with just helping us out in general. I'm going to shout out, he's doing his own campaign. I think he's drawn and co-plotted a book called Incorporated that's currently on Kickstarter right now. I would say everyone go support him there too. And then the other one is Lyndon Cahill. Lyndon Cahill is an aspiring, or no, that's wrong, an up-and-coming artist and colorist and writer in their own right. I've been working with them off and on various things for probably like the past 3 years. And whenever I get a project that I think would be like right up their alley, I always get them involved. And this was another one of them. Just like, let's get them on this. So like it's just a thrill to work with two people I very much like and respect, just on this project that I really care about. It's a passion project in a lot of ways, and the people also kind of add into that passion. So it's nice to work with people I like as human beings as well as creators, and I really try to just keep doing that, as well as like maintaining like some level of loyalty to people that I've worked with for long periods of time. So I like providing people consistent showcases of their talents and work.
Yeah, and two great variant covers. I mean, especially the cover B just pops off that page so well.
No, he's a killer.
I love it. Yeah,
that guy's a killer. He's created many a meme now. I think he did a Green Goblin, a Willem Dafoe Green Goblin page that now is like infamous online, and it is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. But he also did a very funny thing that is also infamous of Saul Goodman from Breaking Bad representing Doctor Doom in court, and I just think it's just very funny.
and then you mentioned the sticker ahead of time, so people can also pick up a sticker with their first issue. I'm assuming that's an add-on that people
Yes.
can grab. And you say here stretch goals. It looks like most of it goes towards issue 2. Trying to put it back into the book. Did you have anything Outside of stretch goals, maybe, because I'm thinking the answer is no. But did you have anything else that like people can expect when they get their issue? Are you a bookmark guy or anything like that?
I believe I'm probably going to provide a nice little postcard for people. I know I'm a firm believer. Okay, prior to me getting into Kickstarter, I would go into Kickstarter and get very overwhelmed looking at some of the campaigns, and it's like here are a lot of the options. So, and especially after doing Comics Are Dying, I've kind of adopted just like a lean and mean approach to just like making the thing and then going into it and making the next thing. Like I think that that's much more like in my mind pragmatic than kind of like wine and dine you completely out of your clothes. I just want to make you a nice little meal, and hopefully you like it enough that you'll come back for dinner another night.
Yeah, I think the lean and mean way is the best way to go these days. Like, I got stacks of bookmarks. I love me some bookmarks, but I got stacks, man. and and some of the other things, no offense to any creators out there, a lot of it goes in the trash, and it's unfortunate somebody put so much time into it, and it, you know, what are you gonna do? I think the postcard idea though is fantastic, and if I may, and feel free to steal this. You won't because it's probably a terrible idea, but feel free. If you could find somebody to make ones that theme on the world of Usonia and like make that like welcome to Usonia or whatever, and then write something from a character or something on the back as like a fake little, it's an addition to the world. It fits in the back of the book with the board or bag and board. That would be a great idea. I think at least. Maybe
I'm
I'm the only
totally
one.
stealing that. If we make enough money, I'm stealing that right away because that's right up my alley. In terms of like, that's a very cool idea. You'll get a special thanks. You'll get a special thanks in the book if we do that.
It's great for you because you can build the world a little bit outside of the book. With this one might great ideas we could do with it, but we'll talk off air about royalties and all that. Anything else about the book that you want people to know before we kind of wrap things up?
I would say that if what can I really say? This is a comic I love. I love it to death. It's a passion project, and it is things that I just find fascinating about anything and everything in one book, about comics history, about real world history, about art. It's just something. It's a comic I really wanted to make, and I don't think we mentioned this, but this was another one that I had an editor say to me, "This is an unpublishable comic," and I was once again got that get up and go of like, well, I'll show you, because then it's just like, well, now I have to make it. Now I feel like I'm onto something. So yeah, I've been very, very, very thankful that it has funded. But I very much want more people to read it, and that's not telling you to go out and buy the most expensive option. I'd say get the PDF if you're just even vaguely curious. And if you have fallen in love with me over the course of this interview, then, by all means, go get the physical copy or whatever else that you find interesting. But I'd say give it a go. It's an issue 1. Get in on the ground floor, and if you don't like it, then you never have to see me again. And that's also a fair exchange, I feel.
Well, yeah, and maybe the next one's right up your alley, everybody. So don't never see him again. Check him out next time. I'll say my fault. I kind of assumed that was the story of the book when you mentioned it earlier. We probably should have brought that up, but you did. So you're better at this than me. I will say, everybody, and we could get into this next time we talk, because I'm always fascinated by this, and maybe I'm the only one. I don't know. There's like 4 people listening to this, but to anyone out there too that's in my boat with Kickstarters, where maybe you've Kickstarted less because money is what it is today, or have become a trade waiter for the same reason or whatever. Pricing's pretty good. Like it's a very affordable book at any point. So definitely check out the campaign to see that, hey, it's not going to cost me $20 for an issue or something like that. It's a much more of a reasonable offer on that part.
No, I very much wanted to, it's not about making a profit. It's about getting people reading. And that was kind of the philosophy. Even back with Comics Are Dying, That's always been the philosophy. I care more about bodies, like actually like going into, enjoying the book than I do like making $1 billion, because that's not really what comics is.
No, and the more people reading it, even at that lower, more people getting a available entry point is going to lead to those big bucks eventually. You would hope. But especially in today's world of like micro communities. But man, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. We definitely have to do this again sometime because I've got so many questions, maybe outside of the creative field, about how you do things that we could jump into. But we'll save that for next time. Before we take off, though, any social media and any bad habits online you want people to check out?
Well, you can find, at the time of recording, no, I'm not going to mention that. Okay, so you can find me online at www.lewissouthard.com. You can check me out on all social medias just at Lewis Southard. I'm there. I'm always up to something. In terms of the future, hopefully more Laugh Riot. Exo Manowar coming out soon, so you'll be able to support me there. You tell Alien Books and Valiant you want more Valiant by me, and I think that would make the world a better place. And then I have a here. I'll tease this. So I mentioned artist Tyler Lanaz earlier. Very big up and coming artist. He worked with Marvel over the past summer. Him and I are working on an 80-page giant that is hopefully going to be available next year. And it is one of us, probably like, not in terms of like quality or story, but in terms of comics history and comics like detail or something like that. All I'm going to say is we're working on a project where a lot of very generous people are letting us play with their toys in a very fun way, and it crosses it crosses over 60 years of comic book history, where of some of the characters we're allowed to use. Some of them were the first creators to use other than their original creator. So like this is it's a very big project. It's another passion project. But if Laugh Riot is too close to home, too provocative if it's too scary, then this is like probably like the most joyful, more fun, escapist book coming your way next year.
Awesome. Then I know when to reach out to you again for next year. Everybody out there listening, you should know by now. I say this every time, but check out the show notes down below. I'll have links to Lewis's website, but most importantly, the Kickstarter, where you can check out Laugh Riot and hopefully pledge to get the book. Check it out. It really does look like a cool piece of art that Lewis has coming out. And man, it's just been an absolute pleasure talking to you, as I said earlier. And I definitely look forward to the next time. So best of luck with the campaign, and yeah, have fun at this is coming out after New York Comic Con, but have fun at New York Comic Con, man.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm very much looking forward to it, and thank you so much for having me on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you.